It doesn't feel like home. I don't know what would feel like home. Would even San Antonio feel like home now? I don't know. I still have a level of social anxiety that's undiagnosed, I'm sure, where I don't like going outside.
Yeah.
It's like the world around me is dangerous and I don't want to go outside. But then I'm outside and I think, oh, this isn't so bad.
I guess I'm always curious to know what it will take for you to feel like you're moving in your purpose, because it's hard for me to then facilitate things if I don't actually know what you want. Hey everyone, I'm Halise, a person that makes things. Hey everyone, I'm Halise, a digital storyteller and video producer.
And I'm Chris/Mr. Halise, and my favorite Halloween candy is Sour Patch Kids, and this will be a dated reference because this will come out probably closer to Thanksgiving.
Not necessarily. It'll probably come out the week of Halloween or after.
And my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving.
And this is the StumbleWell podcast, a couple that you know talking about marriage and relationships and life and other such things. I think I'm editing this podcast, so it'll be me. I'll roll the music.
Halise, roll the music.
Yeah. It's been a while. That's how I'll start.
Should we introduce ourselves again?
I feel like we kind of need to, actually. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Halise. And if you're watching on YouTube, this is my YouTube channel. That's like all you really need to know. I'm a filmmaker, allegedly.
Let's not question while you're here. I won't even introduce myself.
I think you should introduce
I'm
yourself.
married by proxy.
You're married by proxy? I hope you're just married.
Oh, that's a good title.
That is a good title.
Don't know what it means. I'm a guy. I don't know. 36 years. My cells have turned over. I don't know how many times in my lifetime. Yeah. I'm a nurse, I guess. It's
been 5 times. You've just hit your 5 times cell.
Really?
Because it's every 7 years.
Oh.
So you're 36. So you're in your fifth. You're in your 5th turn.
This is my 5th version of me
right now.
It's getting creakier. Anyway.
Here's some actual, I guess, brass tactic stats from the Virgo about who we are. We've been married for 12 years, together for 13. We eloped in Hollywood, even though we don't like LA. And, we just been going through this life thing together as buddy friends. And it's been real cool. Ups, downs, trials, tribulations, all the fun stuff. And we haven't done a podcast. I'm not even going to look it up because I don't even want to know how long it's been. But it's been a while. And
sorry.
And that's because life was happening. So, yeah, unlike other marriage podcasts, I would say, we're fly by night. We're fly by night over here, which is probably not good for retention or whatever.
Anyway, you're here. So welcome. Pull up a chair.
This episode is really to talk about. So we recently did a pretty big thing. We moved to a completely different state. We were originally in San Antonio, Texas. It's where I'm from. It's the closest, biggest city to where you're from.
Yep.
And the move was completely and utterly my fault. So there you go.
Ooh,
there's that.
That's loaded. There's a lot of stigma in that statement. There's no fault.
Oh.
You initiated it.
I'm the one that wanted to move.
There you go.
That's a more PC way to say it. I'm the one that wanted to move.
It's just, I can see the crucifixion scars when you're like, it's my fault. It's not. We just moved.
Okay. Well, we live in Atlanta now, and it's been a little over 150 days.
It's almost been 6 months.
Yeah. Check out the apartment tour video. If the spirit moves you, I'll put it in the show notes. And so for this episode, we just want to talk about it. As you can see, I started with a very loaded statement, so we're going through feelings.
Food is expensive here.
Okay, we'll start there.
I'm just saying. That's statement 1. Just food is expensive.
That's true.
Cost of living expensive. Energy, not quite California levels, but my God.
Georgia Power got us in a chokehold.
Jesus. They built a new power plant. Guess who's paying for it? The people of Georgia. Why?
Right. Nobody asked for this. So as you can see, there are strong feelings about certain aspects of moving to a new state. And I think that's been the interesting thing. I know for me, I was really interested to leave Texas to see just what it is like to live somewhere else in our home country of the United States. And Georgia felt like the easiest connector to make that happen because it's still in the South. So there's just culturally a lot I understand, I would say, more so than California. even with that, like even with moving to Georgia with a certain like baseline knowledge of social and cultural structures here, it still has been interesting to adjust to the infrastructure of a significantly larger city than the city I was living in.
That's been my biggest sticking point, is that I've never lived in a big metroplex.
Yeah, like truly big like this.
One of the largest in the country.
I think so.
And there's just a lot that you have to deal with in that. So traffic is one. Yeah. The people, the number of people.
Yeah. I think that was something that was interesting too. Is like, because the thing about San Antonio, it's not small per se. It actually is like surface area wise a big city, but the population of people compared to the surface area of the city makes it feel small, you know, compared to like here where the surface area is it's not, Atlanta itself actually isn't that big of a city, like driving from one side to the other.
You're just unearthing things, and I'm like, well, how does it take me 30 minutes to get 4 miles?
Right, but so that's my point, is like Atlanta surface area wise actually isn't that big, but it is so packed
Population
with people.
density.
Yeah. So yeah, we've definitely unearthed a lot of the big city problems of a place, you know, just by mere existence. Also, I think the part of the city that we live in is just like...
It was the closest...
it was an easy jump.
Yeah, I mean, the feel was very similar to what we had in San Antonio.
Yeah, because we can tell y'all now, we lived in Southtown, San Antonio, like right on the edge of downtown
King
and
William,
Southtown.
yeah.
Yeah, right next to King. We weren't in King William, we were next door. Don't price us in a price bracket that we're not. So yeah, it was a very walkable area, very kind of like hip, you know what I'm saying? It was hip, it was cute, that sort of thing. And so we more or less moved to the equivalent of that here in Atlanta. Midtown specifically, the homeless population here is like next level.
It's not quite as bad as downtown. Downtown proper.
Yeah.
Downtown's rough.
Something that I think has just been interesting, again, coming back to just like the big city problems, because this is something in San Antonio you saw a lot too, of just like the homelessness and like just the lack of services and the lack of public services in regards to homelessness. Because so much of what we're seeing here, I feel, is a lot of lack of mental health resources. Like a lot.
That's everywhere. Yeah, you naturally don't want armed law enforcement to necessarily interact with that, because where are they going to go? They're just going to go to the ER. And then where do they go from the ER? Well, they have a 72-hour hold, and then maybe if there's funding, they go to some sort of mental health crisis center, and they hold them for a period of time. And then as soon as the funding stops or the patient stops wanting to take it, then they're back out in the street. And it's just over and over and over again. And it's low priority for everybody. And then you see what happened, and there's no resources. No one's like catching it. And then the people that are catching it, no one knows how to deal with it. No one wants to deal with it. It becomes like interdepartmental human hot potato.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It just goes round and round and round until it ends badly, or I don't know. Beepity beep 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 beepity beep beep.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the StumbleWell podcast, marriage podcast. What do I usually say? Oh, some quick announcements for those of you who are watching the podcast here on the YouTube channel Halise, youtube.com/Halise. Hi, how you doing? Please like, share, engage down below with the podcast. That really helps us out algorithmically to get it seen by more people. Likewise, if you're listening to us wherever, okay, Delta Airlines flight attendant. Likewise, if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, please consider rating us there. 5 stars is preferred, but we value constructive criticism just as much as the next person, so I understand that. And then if you want to take things a step further, if you really enjoy the podcast, if you want it to be a regular thing that comes out, like bi-weekly or whatever, consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/Halise. There you get early access to videos, exclusive content, merch, and more. It is such a good time over there. We love our Patreon producers. Thank you so much for supporting this podcast and everything we do, because y'all are real ones, like for real. In these trying times, in this economy, y'all the real ones. Thank you. And then finally, just to touch on some of the things we've been covering in this episode around poverty, around homelessness. Obviously, it's a huge problem, not just here in Atlanta, but across the nation as a whole. And that's why things like the child tax credit have been very beneficial. It has brought literally millions of children out of poverty here in the United States. And even so, with it, you can still see how much is still needed to help our own society, our own culture, our own people be better and have more opportunities and access to the help that they desperately need. So, even though I am now in Georgia from Texas, I'm figuring out who my local representatives are. I'm starting to think critically about what platforms they stand on. So come voting season, I'm voting for people who will help increase the child tax credit, help it go further, you know what I'm saying? Because I want us all to succeed. I don't feel like any of us should be out on the streets. It's not necessary. There is enough for everyone to be fed and housed here in the U.S. So, all that being said, that's my little 2 cents. Back to the episode, because that's the other thing with this move that's been interesting is that, yeah, you're back in a clinical setting. After the panorama mama, Mr. Halise took a break from medicine as a whole so he could start writing more.
You allowed me to do that, which was, again, very appreciated. I appreciated it in the moment, but was I making great use of my time? I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, and I feel like I'm more cognizant, more intentional about what I'm doing now because I kind of need to be. But yes, was a nurse, took a break, wanted it to stick, wanted it to be permanent, turned out to be transitionary. It's fine. Back to being a nurse.
That has definitely painted Atlanta in a different point of view for you versus me, who's not seeing, for lack of a better word, sort of the underbelly of all of the struggles in the healthcare system here. Obviously, nationwide, our healthcare system's like trash. But again, coming to a bigger city and seeing like the nuance of problems that are specific to this region and this population has been interesting for you, to say the least.
I'm swallowing back that rant.
Okay.
And it's like, wait, so which hospital is good? No. Which hospital is good? How are they all okay? Oh, the good ones are on the outskirts where all the money is, where it's less melanated. Oh.
Yeah, guys, that's bad.
Oh. Well, you had to wait how long to get an ambulance? I feel like there's my experience and my feelings about Atlanta, and I feel like yours has been largely positive. I could say all these things, and they are true to whatever degree, but yours has been good. And I think you were leading up to that. Sorry.
I mean, overall, it's been pretty positive for me. It's been interesting to be able to move to a new place and like hit the ground running, I think, especially moving during the strike, both strikes, and being like, well, it's worked out pretty well so far. Like finding the co-working space that I'm at, which is really good, which has kind of tapped me into the community in an interesting way. And then just being really upfront and honest with people about, hey, I'm new to the area. We should grab coffee, and making that a priority of just being very, what's the word? Driven? Motivated? Being very motivated to like set tangible goals around meeting people. So not really relying on others to be the ones to reach out to me first, but just being very actionable with it. So I think when we first moved here, I made a goal, and I told the Patreon people about this. Like, I made a goal of like, I'm going to have at least schedule, because that's what I can control. I can't control if somebody doesn't show up. I can't control that. But like, schedule one meeting with someone a week that ideally is based here, even if it's virtual or in person. Like, meet at least one new person a week for fun or for potential connections, etc. Every week for the first like 2 or 3 months, I was meeting at least 1 or 2 people and being like, I'm here. Hi. I don't know. Coffee? And that seems to be paying off so far. I've gotten a couple like local gigs out of it. Got to work with King of Reeds on his campaign for AIDS testing with the CDC, because the CDC,
HIV.
Right, HIV testing, because the CDC is based here, and they have a very big push now to do at-home HIV testing, which is actually really cool when you like look into it. It's like, oh wow,
I think
this
I
is
saw
amazing.
I think I saw one of their vans recently.
Yeah, and then I see them around, and then I also I told you about this. I got the call from the CDC. I recognized because it was like a
Right.
404 number, which is Atlanta's area code.
Well, 404, 708,
Yeah, and
708, 706.
so I answered, and it was like the CDC doing the survey around testing, not for HIV, but for COVID and flu, and what's the other one going around? RSV.
RSV.
Yeah, it was them trying to do the polling to see like who's getting the latest COVID vaccine shots, the booster that just came out this year. Yeah, for the fall. And then are you coupling that with the flu shot? And then like, what are the demographics of your household? So that way they can have that data to then be more informed on how well the vaccines are getting rolled out. So that was also really interesting too, where it's just kind of like, oh, cool. It's nice to see that some aspect of the government is trying to do something. You know what I'm saying? The guy that was talking to me was like so sweet. He was just like, thank you again so much for your time. Like every other question, he was like, and thank you for your time. Thank you for answering these questions. This really does help us out. And it's like, yeah, I get it, man. Mom's a researcher. You need the data, or like, you have to prove with empirical data that the thing is happening, you know?
Right. And how do you do it to minimize I guess bias in who you choose, and then also cost benefit analysis.
Exactly. So that was cool.
People. Ugh.
Yeah, so that was cool. Just to participate in the survey and to hear the questions and see the way they were formulating the questions and be like, wow, y'all are really trying to formulate this to where it's like, we're not trying to make you seem terrible or like anything like that.
I don't know, but there's your experience, and then my experience, I think you're right, is painted by the fact that I went from writing, which I'm still writing, but just purely doing writing, being a house husband, sure. Yeah. I think there's still stigma in that. There was stigma in everything. I think from everybody.
Sure.
Internet, family.
Not
it's like, what do you mean
internet,
your man is not?
I don't necessarily like that you say that you are a house husband.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I retract that.
Okay. Because I'm like, you really weren't.
No, it's just, I don't know.
Like, you were at home, but
even
you weren't a house husband.
In past episodes, I was saying, well, I mean, what is my value, though? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And I would rather take, again, I didn't learn it. Still probably didn't learn it.
Yeah.
It's not stuck in my head. But I would rather have that problem than the way that I feel about a relatively easy nursing job.
Sure.
I don't wake up with stress nightmares or whatever. I still have them time to time, but nowhere near as frequent. I'm not exhausted when I get home. It's just not what I want to do.
Yeah.
But that's just the plight of the writer. It's just like, until you can make money and sustain yourself, even if you publish a book or two, it's not going to sustain your family. So you may need to have, you got to have the main job until the writing becomes the main job, if it ever does.
We've seen a lot of the big city problems over the past 160-ish days of being here. But I'm more interested to see what the big city benefits and perks are. Because in the same way there are benefits and perks to living further out and all that kind of stuff, I do feel like there's benefits and perks to living in a bigger metroplex. One of them, the first one that I'm immediately noticing is just access. So been here for as long as we have, and I've already gone to 2 YouTube events. I'm about to go to another one, just really tapped into just the, what's the word I'm looking for? Resources, tapped into the resources. I didn't have a partner manager. I lost one. earlier this year while I was in San Antonio. Where am I going to go? Can't go to the Google office. Ain't no Google office in San Antonio. You know where there's a Google office? Here in Atlanta, you know? And within going to one event, got a partner manager. I bumped that, sorry. So lost my partner manager at the beginning of the year and then go to one event, boom, partner manager again. Because they were just at the event because Google has a presence here, you know? And so things like that have been really interesting, where it used to take months for me to break into something because I was just based somewhere that was just further away. And now it's just like, oh, you're good. Just go have one cocktail and there you go.
There have been a lot more developments, positive developments for you.
I see it more as just like more pings, like more moments of like.
That's true.
Ping, ping, ping. Like, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, because the ones in San Antonio, it was like a big ping.
Yeah, huge ping.
It's like, yeah, it reached the reverberations, finally reached you. But here, yeah, it's like small. Oh, Halise, small, Halise.
But I'm curious to see how that does or does not potentially roll over to you as well in all aspects of what you're trying to do, whether it be writing, which, again, like writing conferences in San Antonio, were those happening? I don't know.
They were, but again, we'll see what this writing conference is like, because the fact that I have to pay to get someone to get face-to-face time or whatever for them to consider it, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's one way to go about it.
I mean, you've seen what I've been doing on the back end with This Could Have Been an Email.
Mm-hmm.
You see all the money I've put into that to just get the right people to look at it, you know? So to me, it's just like, oh, it only costs that? You want me to tell you how much an evaluation costs on blacklist.com? Only for them to tell you that they don't like the plot? Oh, okay, cool, thanks. An agent wanting to be compensated for their time? Sure, I get it.
When you say it like that, I guess.
Mean, just randomly got a text from a director that's based here who was like, hey, I just randomly got pinged to do this thing with TI. We're going to 2 locations. It's tomorrow. Are you around? I got your name from somebody. We were both in California I was coming out of doing Adobe Max, and I was like, flip table, you know what I'm saying? But again, it's like, for me, that was a moment of realizing, okay, the fruits of my labor of being vocal about the fact that I'm here is starting to pay off. People are remembering that ping, and then through someone, somehow they're getting to me, you know? And again, not to say that those things didn't happen in San Antonio, but the pace at which those things happened took a lot longer, because there's just not that much production happening like that in San Antonio. Now that we've been here for some time, what do you see yourself here long term or no?
I don't know what that means. I mean, I know the meaning of the question, but I don't know what that means for me. Like, I don't have an answer.
Okay.
I feel less negative. I honestly don't know, because day to day, it all just feels like a weird dream. And like, I wake up in this space and I still think, are we here? We are here.
So like, you wake up and you think, oh, our apartment. And then you think, I know what it'll look like when I walk outside. And then it doesn't look the way you thought it would when you walk outside, because you thought you were thinking of a Texas landscape instead of like an Atlanta landscape. Does that make sense? You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. It's more, yeah, it's like waking up and it's like, oh, and we're still here. Okay. And I'm still doing this and this. Like, oh, okay. But I don't know what it is that I would be expecting. It's all the same.
Is it? San Antonio is not Atlanta.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have still had to go back. We talked about this. Like, I would have still had to have gone back to nursing in San Antonio. And so I wouldn't have felt the way I feel now about the city, because the city was the city. But I still would have had to have dealt with traffic, because inevitably, still would have been grumbling about traffic, still would have been grumbling about work. I
think for me, it's just very fascinating because, you'll talk about things from a very, like, micro level.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, but how do you feel macroly, Because usually when I ask you, because I do remember this even with San Antonio, I was like, do you like San Antonio? And you were like, eh. And you would immediately go to, like, very, like, specific things. And it wasn't just like, but do you like this place overall? Before we left, I finally established, and no, I had known it for a while, that, I felt like San Antonio was home, because it was always the biggest city. And I've, again, spoken to you about this, but it was always the biggest city for my hometown. Mm-hmm. So people would aspire to go to San Antonio. Yeah. And then even when I came back from college, came back to the hometown, not the dream,
but the means of escape was San Antonio. So it was always just kind of like, oh, no matter what I do, I end up coming back to San Antonio. And I felt like San Antonio was just big enough. I thought San Antonio was like the Goldilocks city. It was, not too big, not too small. Whatever you need, you could find in it. And you could say the same things in Atlanta. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying not to give a very strong opinion.
Why?
Because it's bad.
But
Because
if
I
it's
don't want
how
to get
you-
I don't want to get roasted on the internet.
Oh, I think if it's how you feel, then there you go. I
think
think your
this is-
feelings can change.
No, this is one of the few times where I'm like, nope.
Oh, okay. That's fascinating.
It doesn't feel like home. I don't know what would feel like home. Would even San Antonio feel like home now? I don't know. I need to be granular. Because those are the immediate wins that I can get. And those are the things that I can control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, I mean, I go to the gym and I enjoy that. I enjoy the routine that we get into, and I enjoy that. And I think once I start pulling out, then it's like, well, yeah, but you're only happy at the gym or you're only going to the gym because this was the inciting event, or
Sure.
like as soon as you start pulling out and I start seeing more and more of the picture, then it's like, oh, I'm immediately thinking negative, as opposed to, well, we get to go out and eat, or we get to go do this, or we get to go do that. So I just need to put blinders on. Otherwise, the blinders fall away and it's not like a Victorian England that we're in.
Sure.
It's a horse floating on a chunk of dismembered earth that has been flung.
It's Twister. Cow.
Well, or like a giant alien has split apart the earth, and like I'm just free floating. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't put the blinders back on.
Yeah.
I'd rather just. I think that's just what I have to do. I don't know.
Okay.
This is negative. I'm going to come off super negative in this episode, but I don't know. I still have a level of social anxiety that's undiagnosed, I'm sure. Where I don't like going outside.
Yeah.
It's like the world around me is dangerous and I don't want to go outside. But then I'm outside and I think, oh, this isn't so bad. I don't know. I mean, it's like asking me to, I can't quantify, I can't qualify it any number of ways, but like how long do you think you're going to be on the East Coast? And it's like, I have no idea. How long is it going to take you to get into writing? It's like probably all my life. How long is it going to take you to get out of nursing? I don't know. This is like all these questions that I don't have the answer to.
Okay.
How long could I see myself living here? As long as I'm living here, I guess. Because we went to San Diego and like on the outskirts, and there were, some more of my people around, and that was fine. It didn't feel like home. And I think I've said, I admitted it to you a couple months ago where I was like, oh, I've been uprooted. And there's no resettling. It's more just now I'm uprooted. So I don't know if anything will be home. It's more just wherever I'm staying. Yeah. I mean, it's not really a lot of places that I would want to live. You know what I mean? Like New York City is like Atlanta on steroids. I don't want that. Has too many people. I don't want that. They get terrible amounts of snow. I don't want that. They get terrible amounts of rain now. I don't want that. Other parts of the East Coast, like, I don't know, hurricanes, racism, I don't know. The West Coast doesn't really have steady access to water. Neither will the country in about 10 years. So I don't really want it. Alaska, way too expensive, way too far, way too cold. Hawaii, way too expensive.
Should we even be there to begin with?
I was going to say, yeah. But I mean, yes and no.
Right. Yeah.
Are we occupying? Are we? I just I don't know. I don't know, man. I just wanted to be here, and I'm sorry I'm inconveniencing you. But I can't go home because there is no home. You know what I mean? So please, can I just stay here for a minute? So all in all, I'm just rolling. I don't know. I guess the apartment still feels like home, or it does feel like home, and I am appreciative that the first week of us moving here, it more or less looked like this.
Yeah.
And that has helped give me a stable foundation of, okay, and we come home and this is home.
Yeah.
So that feels nice. If we had gone to any of the other rentals that didn't have stable, ready access to parking, covered parking,
See, you start to
Street
get granular
parking.
again. You start.
No, but like it
But I
genuinely.
get it. No, you
We,
go.
I mean,
Keep
we
going.
could have had like a bigger space, which we already have a big space, but we could have had
The
like
space is
a big
very
enough
big.
space and a backyard. Could have had a backyard.
Which one was that one?
That was the long hallway place.
Yeah, but it was shared. That wasn't like a backyard. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Sorry, to get out of the negative funk. I like the routine that I've developed. I mean, we have some nice restaurants that we go to.
Yeah.
So that's fun. They know us there-ish at some, which is fun. One of them, the people that we met, the person that we met, turned into the running group that you now participate in, that I now participate in.
Yeah.
That, yeah, we know a lot of those folks. They're fun.
Nice folks.
So that's cool. Going to the gym, doing stuff, that's cool. That's, yeah, a part of me that I've always wanted to develop, and that's fun. Still getting up at 5:30 in the morning to write.
They don't even know about that.
Whatever.
See, I was just like glossing over stuff.
I
Y'all,
mean,
what?
no, I'm just like,
Y'all, Chris is getting up at 5:30 every morning to work on his writing before he goes to his job. And then sometimes he comes home and is like finishing up stuff as well.
that's when I've shot myself in the foot and have committed to
Yeah, putting out deadlines.
if there's any crossover between my very appreciated audience and your audience, it's there, and it's like, y'all know. It's like, oh, I just dropped it.
Oh, the How Does This End podcast?
Yeah, it's like, well, the podcast is coming out, so
Yeah.
I have 4 weeks.
Spooky stories. New season is out.
Oh, sure. The 6.
Season 6.
Oh no, I was talking about 6 weeks. Remember, I was like, I want to put something out for the month of October, and you looked at your watch and saw the date, and you were like, really? You want to do that? And I think this was early September.
Yeah.
And I thought, what? You don't think that's possible?
And I said, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying you ain't finna sleep. That's what I'm saying. And sure enough.
And sleep remains elusive for most people.
It's almost that thing of like, I hate how much I know about production. Because yeah, you'll say something like that. And I'm not trying to say that it's not possible. I'm just like, okay. Because it's just like, I guess I'll see you in November then.
Right.
It's
either going to be quick, good, or you're going to be satisfied with it.
Yeah.
But you can't have all three.
Can't have all
it's
three.
2 of the 3.
Yeah. And it's the same thing because like I'm also mentoring a creator right now on her channel, and just like she's trying to be more serial about different topics and things like that. So I helped her put together a production schedule, and then yeah, she got behind on it. And from the jump, my first response to her was like, this was already very hard, what we were doing. It's not weird that you couldn't keep up with it. You know what I mean? And so she's in the process of just remajiggering her production schedule to try to have it released early next year. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, welcome. This is what being a producer is. This is why it's hard.
Oh, to come all the way out of the funk.
Okay.
I am glad that you are getting something out of the move. The absolute worst thing would have been we come here and you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Because initially you were selling it as, well, I can get into traditional production. And then we both knew that the strikes were looming. And then they happened. And then it wasn't happening. Like there was no production work for anybody.
Yeah.
And so you're just doing what you're doing, not to minimize it, but you're doing what you're doing in Texas, but here.
Yeah.
Very
true.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what you sold it as. And I think that's fine because you're still doing very well. As you said, you're still getting a lot of outreach, still having a lot of business dealings. So if we had come here and nothing had changed, then it's like, yeah. Or you didn't benefit at all, or it's just like we're both struggling and unhappy. And it's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And why did we move?
Yeah.
But it is coming out positive for you. For me, it's more just, yeah, I'm not there. It's multifactorial. Like I'm not doing what I want to do. The work that I'm doing now, like the W-2 work, is taking me for granted. They're taking like a little too much. And it's just not ideal. But there's no ideal nursing, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I keep trying to find the answer, the magic bullet, the silver bullet, and it's just not, it ain't there.
Yeah.
Or
the silver bullet is leaving. and doing something else.
Yeah, but that's not a solution.
Why not?
It's going from nursing job to nursing job. It's all the same. It's just different aspects are asked of you. So it's like you're either sacrificing your body more and your mental health at the bedside, or you're, just a pencil pusher if you're doing clinical stuff.
I guess. I think I find myself just pushing back on that only because there's so many other things that you could do in nursing that have yet to be explored. At least that I know of, kind of, sort of.
Mm.
And so I still keep thinking about, which we kind of talked about over the weekend a little bit. What does it mean to be, what does it mean to have your level of expertise and be in technology? What does it mean to have your level of expertise and be in something else?
I am putting a negative slant on Atlanta in my head. And I think I was trying to allude to this earlier when I was trying to compare if I was a nurse in San Antonio as opposed to a nurse here, that it would kind of be the same thing. Like I would have similar feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just like it's an easy scapegoat to blame the new city. And it's like, well, it's got a lot of this problem, or it's got a lot of traffic, or, it's more expensive. And it's like, yeah, but all that's doable. It's manageable. It's more just, I'm not doing what I want to do. Maybe I wear my emotions on my sleeve and it just affects me in that way. I don't know if Atlanta will benefit me. I don't know if it'll be detrimental either. It's more just, I feel neutral about it.
Yeah.
Because I have not had good experiences. I've had some small negative experiences, but that's not enough to, pee in the well.
I know I come back to this a lot. I think I always just wonder, what will it take for you? Like, what's the criteria for you to feel, I don't know. I don't even want to say success. I mean, I guess successful. I guess.
Oh, no. Successful in what?
Sure. But let me try to get to something, I guess. I guess I'm always curious to know what it will take for you to feel like you're moving in your purpose overall. Because it's hard for me to then facilitate things if I don't actually know what you want. Like, so for me, it's since starting StumbleWell and leaving my full-time job, I've more or less been in my purpose. There have been times where it's been very difficult. Like, yeah, the move here is a hard transition, but it's one that still aligns with my purpose, so it's fine. Like, I'm good to weather it. You know what I mean? And I knew like how I wanted to weather it. I knew I didn't want to weather it in California. It's just like, that's too far of a jump. The cost of living is just too much. I know I can't handle that, but I can handle in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And even then, there was still the unknown unknowns of coming here, where it was just like, oh, this is something I didn't know about myself. Like realizing like, oh, I'm kind of a simpleton. Wow, because I'm from a city that's just not as big as this, you know?
I'm a simpleton. That's harsh.
Yeah, Atlanta showed me I'm a simpleton. And that's okay. But it's also, like, for me, it's been like every sacrifice that I feel like I've been making so far, I can justify based on what I know what I think I am aiming for in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that helps me weather all of it. But like, and I think that's what I keep coming back to with us moving here, and why I'm like, I know this was for me, because it was. And I know it sounded like harsh at the beginning of the episode or whatever, but it's like, that's the truth. Like, we moved here for me. I know that we did not move here for you at all, like at all. And so I find myself just wanting to understand, okay, so we moved here for me. I more or less know how much time I have here before something needs to change again, probably.
Oh, I didn't ask that question to you. How do you know? What's that?
How long?
Yeah.
I think I have about 2 years here before either something needs to change, or I really need to have like gotten to whatever the next level is to rationalize staying here for you.
Oh,
And for me in some ways, but mostly for you.
it's just like the storytelling. So like writing stories, ideally maybe getting like, and even then it's like, it's not working towards publishing. It's getting something published, building up the publishing to build the writer's resume, to potentially build towards eventually publishing a longer term book. So I'm talking short fiction to get published, to get the longer fiction. And then the podcast, the audience was never big, but now it's, smaller, but it's still curating something. Ending the last episode of this season, I was like, well, I would rather, for anyone that's listening, thank you for listening, because I infinitely prefer telling these stories in a closet than doing my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But there is no
That's
escape
real.
of nursing. There is none. I don't, at least that's not my plan anymore. Like I think it's more just like, well, we're going to have to balance what the income is for a while, potentially indefinitely. And that's fine, but that becomes out of my control. So how do I get granular into it?
Yeah.
Which is, well, I can keep writing stories. I can keep trying to improve. I can keep reading. And like, those are all the things in my control. Where I do it is not even necessarily in my control. Like, in which city am I doing it? It's like, it's all kind of whatever at this point. But if I can just work towards that and then find the good in that, then I can keep going.
Okay.
But I think at this point, without the creative outlet, I don't know. Like, I got nothing.
I'm okay with it taking a while for Atlanta to feel like home, because most places I have lived, it has taken a while for it to feel like home. I didn't feel at home in San Antonio being back as an adult.
Took you like a year and a half?
It took me longer than that. It took me a
okay.
good 3. I did not feel really at home in San Antonio until
We moved
downtown.
You were dealing with the burden of the hometown mentality. You know what I mean? Like, you were someone who wanted to do other things, wanted to go
Yeah.
out and do other things, live somewhere else other than their hometown. For most people, that's the case.
Yeah.
Like, even if you grew up in LA is its own thing. So like, but you can still live in LA and, be living it up or whatever. But in San Antonio, it's different. I don't want to go back to my hometown. So you were dealing with that and trying to make San Antonio feel like how you want it to feel, that you felt like maybe more metropolitan, or maybe like definitely more walkable. And all of that could only be found downtown.
I mean, it was partially that, and also like, full disclosure, San Antonio doesn't really do anything for my career.
No,
So
yeah,
it was
100%.
also a step back to go from Austin.
Career-wise, yes.
Career-wise, yes. It was a step backwards. Ended up making the most of it. Got great clients in San Antonio. It took a while to break in to finally get to them. Being at the co-working space, again, there helped with that a lot. But again, I didn't find that space until, when. And it didn't make sense to start going to that space until we moved downtown. So it's like, I think the thing about my career has been geography and how much, whether people want to acknowledge it or not, it's better now with the pandemic. Like, you don't necessarily have to like hardcore be in the place, but your proximity to the place has to be connectable. I still feel that, at least in my field, for sure.
I think maybe that's the other thing. Feelings about the city aside, I have also been in a period of grinding, of really just chipping away. And that's also why, like, it's just part of the process. I'm not seeking validation or kudos or congratulations for, oh, you wanted to do this thing and you're getting up at 5:30 in the morning. And it's like, well, good. That's what you should be doing, because you have no other time to do it. And if you never do it, then it won't get done. I'm also in that mindset, and maybe that's part of what my discomfort is growing from, is just like, wow, this is all really hard. Like, it's hard to get up. It's hard to wake up in the morning, first of all. And then it's hard to get going in writing knowing that I have to stop in like an hour. And then it's hard to get going and work as a nurse, because it's all just like, but I don't want to do that. And so it's hard to keep grinding. But Like there's no alternative. The alternative is to do nothing.
If you're going through a hard time right now, what do you think that hard time is building to, if anything?
I like that.
I think there are definitely times where times are just hard, and it is what it is.
What do you hope that it's building to?
Yeah. All that to say, stumble well,
Stumble on.
and we'll see you in the next podcast episode. Because we're going to do more, I think, maybe.
Oh,
Who
I
knows?
take back my wave.
No, you can wave.
We are going to do more.